How you doing? Welcome back to the RV Solar channel. My name's Sean, and I got a little company called Cerbo Solar. My sweatshirt's getting a little long on the tooth there, but it's because we're hard at work here. This week, in this video, we're working on an Airstream Globetrotter, 27 feet, I believe, somewhere around there. Doesn't matter, we're gonna have a lot of fun with it. I'm gonna show you everything we're gonna do. We're doing Victron power equipment, Victron energy equipment, Epoch batteries. I'm going to talk about the batteries we're using, why, the sizes, and show you a couple different options. And I think it'll be really clear why we're using the ones we're using. And the other little wrinkle in this project is we're not putting any solar on there. So why would you go through all this trouble if you don't add solar? Well, the truth is solar is only about 20 to 30% of a project like this. And you could probably do that yourself. We'll do the hard stuff. Let me show you what we're doing. So here it is. It's icy cold outside, but it's nice and warm inside in the Cerbo Solar shop here. Got this Airstream in here, and we are going to be putting all that Victron equipment right in here. We're going to have to modify this compartment a little bit, but not too much. The batteries are already removed out of here. Thank you, customer. And so that can be used for storage or whatever. We're going to be putting the batteries inside. But before we get into that, let's talk about what we're doing here. So in this build, we are doing a 3000 Multiplus, 2x120. That means you can run all of your 50 amp coach off of this. Every outlet, every appliance gets energy. Now, can you run both air conditioners? Technically, for just a little bit, if you got soft starts, would not recommend it. But you can run your microwave, everything, one air conditioner for a little bit if you want, all kinds of stuff. It is the best inverter, in my humble opinion, to use in an RV. And then we're going to be replacing the Sun Explorer solar charger with this 50 amp smart solar charger. And that'll give the customer plenty of room to upgrade in the future if they so would desire. And to keep it all connected, nice and cool, nice and safe, we're using a Lynx distributor, and you know we're going to be making those lights work because that's how we do things. And what you maybe don't see here if you've watched some of our other videos is there's no Cerbo. So again, kind of with the theme of this project, we'll do the hard stuff, let the customer do the easy stuff maybe later on. We're going to be adding a a VE bus smart dongle. That's important to control the amps that this can pull from shore power so you don't pop your breaker or overload your generator. You can control all that from this guy with your phone. The smart charger here will also connect to your phone. So you can see kind of like a miniature dashboard of your system without having to invest in a Cerbo display just yet. Okay, which brings us to this guy here. We are going to be running an HDMI extension from the install area as far as we can to where we need to run wires anyway for this guy, and we'll get into that later. Definitely stick around and watch. But we're going to be running this HDMI extension. So in the future, if the customer so chooses, they can add a Cerbo GX and probably an afternoon of just putting it on our board that we're going to build here in this video and run that, or yeah, just connect it up here, and then they just got to put the screen inside and they are good to go. And we don't mind doing that. Why would we? It's a lot of fun. We get to have a lot of the fun, save the customer a little bit of money, and get to work on the next project a little bit sooner. Win, win, win. All right, so after we get all this stuff put together, we put it on a board. That's usually what we like to do all the sub-assembly here. Then we bring it inside, and then what? Well, then we come inside here, and I'll tell you what, we got some lining on the floor here from solar panels. We keep the floor nice and clean. But, so we'll be putting that board in there, and then we've got to run some extra wires. We got to run those from here all the way back to our power center, because the Multiplus ends up being in line between the two. Power will come in from outside, through underneath here, pop out underneath there, into the Multiplus, then from the Multiplus back all the way to the power center. And that's how everything gets run. The full 50 amps flows through it. And if you're just on inverting power, it just connects both of the hot legs together. So you got 120 throughout the coach, not 240. But everything still works. We're going to install the batteries right here and put a disconnect switch on there. And I'm thinking I might put the solar disconnect over there too, just to keep it nice and simple. We're going to have to do some ventilation in here. Oh, what else? Other stuff. Oh, and also when we run those AC lines, we're going to run the HDMI as well. That's what I was talking about. Because then we'll run the HDMI down there and coil it. Then all the customer has to do is run it up here and mount their Cerbo display wherever they would like. Other little niceties we like to do is I think we're going to be replacing either this controller monitor with an outlet or both. Or maybe we will replace that one as well. We'll see. Another thing we'll do very often is sometimes that Sun Explorer controller is over here, and that's where we will replace that with a normal outlet, and we'll just daisy chain off of this one. And that's really nice. In this case, this customer could request just another outlet right here, and we can do that easy enough. But I don't think that's on the build sheet for this one, but something to keep in mind. That's another thing to consider. We do not just the electric part of solar, we do all kinds of other little things, like adding little USB ports, outlets, soft starts, even some light remodeling if you need. Ask. If you got something, hey, how could we do this? Could we do this? Let us know. Let's see if we can figure it out. We'd love to help you. All right, that is enough talking about the work. Let's get to work. So the first thing I'm going to do is measure up for a backboard on the back side of that compartment, get that cut, and then we're going to start arranging our components. I am going to be referencing a previous install we did, and maybe I'll link that down in the comments down below, where we did SOK batteries, and I'm pretty much going to be copying the layout on that because that one we used a Cerbo GX, and I want to make sure it'll fit, and that just seems like a good thing to do. All right, got a little bit more done in here. Got the bed taken out, started to unravel this a little bit, and this is actually really nice. I think on the last Globetrotter we did, we actually had to take this cabinet apart, but in this case we don't have to. Airstream put all the goodies right in here. I'm hoping the solar controller is in there. We won't know until we know, but I've got this loosened up here so this can come out, but I put it in there. I left it in there because I can get my board cut, so that's how it's going to fit right in there. So this allows us to, rather than spend all our time underneath there, we'll just use that. And this is just 3/4 inch ACX ply at Menards. Pretty similar to what we're using here. So I feel like that's a good fit. Then this guy can just slide right out. And we do have a light on there, so we want to be careful of that. But I don't think we even have to unhook it. So we'll figure out what's going on in there. And let's take a look here. What I love with Airstream is when you look at it the right way, they give you a nice little wiring diagram of how everything works. What's really nice about this is it'll tell you where your 7-pin power comes in, which is really important for a lot of folks who are trying to add a DC-DC charger, which a lot of times, honestly, you don't necessarily have to do. There's a number of reasons we can get into that. Maybe we'll do a video on it, but if you want good charging, yes, you do. But if you just want to use the 7-pin, it's not critical. But I was just going to show you where that comes in there. It's usually, I want to say it's this, there's a black wire here that usually comes into this positive bus bar here. That's what this is. It's usually this black one, that big black one. I know normally black is negative, but on the trailer wiring, it's typically positive. So that's usually your trailer wiring, and we will just leave that connected. And yeah, so and then here's the solar charger. This is going to come out. All right, back out here at the table, and we're trying to work smarter, not harder. Not that we're not afraid of hard work, but got some reference photos from our previous install like this, and I'm going to try and match it because, again, this Cerbo may show up later. So this is kind of what we got going on. I transferred all this stuff to a board. A big issue when you got a big battery bank like this is if you push this thing hard, either on the charging or the usage side, like maybe running an air conditioner for an hour or two, this guy gets hot, and we got to exhaust that air. And a lot of people will get worked up about the clearances around this. And the truth is, you can have as much clearance as you want, but if you don't get rid of the air, it will overheat, and luckily it doesn't really get damaged. It just shuts down. It overtemps and it shuts down, and you don't want that. So in this case, what we've done is typically we'll use a fan like this connected to a thermostat, or the K1 relay internally, or there's a number of different ways, but lately we've been leaning into just a simple thermostat. I'll show you that if it goes there, or I can show you that anyway. But what I'm thinking about doing, and we've done this before, take a piece of 1/4-inch HDPE like this, and my plan is to make it into like an L channel. So 1/2 will go here, and then I'll bend it down, and then maybe notch it out around these things here. And that way this fan can go into it, or screw into it. We'll attach it one way or another. And then it's kind of this perfect, whatever, setup here to draw all the air that comes out of here and suck it straight down. Let's see how we're doing now. Ooh, like butter. Look at that. So, see, you can make a nice bend. Hey, we got a visitor. No, it's you. You're the visitor. Say hi, Bear. Say hi to everybody. He just, if you ever come and meet him, he's a little excitable. Might bark at you. Don't worry. He's just saying hi. Oh, are you giving them your greeting? All right, come on. Come here. Yeah. Yeah, this is our Bear. If you know anything about Bernese Mountain Dogs, he's just like all of them. All right. Oh, you know what? I think it might be time for lunch. Let's take a lunch break. Came back from lunch, did a little more work on this little thing here, and maybe I deformed some of this a little bit more than I'd like, but it is functional. I ended up melting kind of both sides of this, and it kind of welded together. It's pretty sweet. And I notched these out a little bit, and then just heated those up, but that fits pretty good right there. Yeah, that'll fit pretty good right there. And we'll attach that to this, to the fan like that, and then we're good to go. And to assist us on the rest of this, a new player has entered the game or chat. This is my son Levi. He's going to be helping us out here for a while.
Hardly working. That's what they tell me.
That's not what I tell you. We're always hard working. So we're going to be putting this together. I think we're going to, step one, we're going to get some carpet on this board, and then we're going to make it look like that. And this guy's going to wire it up under my supervision. All right, it's been a hot minute here, and Levi and I put this board together, and it's mostly put together. We got to do a little bit of wire cleanup and all that kind of stuff, but it's similar to the previous one we did here. We did make a couple of adjustments. Like I said, came up with this kind of contraption here to vent the heat that's going to come out here and push it right out the floor. At least that's the idea. And I was thinking about using one of these thermostat-based relays to run the fan, but instead on this one, I think I'm going to do the K1 relay, because for the most part, the only thing we need to worry about is when this fan is running, I want that fan running. And when this fan isn't running, I don't want that fan to run. This guy could get a little bit warm, but there's only a couple 100 watts on here, and they may add some more in the future. But for right now, I think this will work really well. All right, now that we got that somewhat under control, it's time to turn our attention back to here. And one of the things we always have to do, and 9 times out of 10 it's hard. This particular case, it is harder. Maybe the hardest one we've had to do for an Airstream, and that's running the, what I call the AC lines all the time. That's the 2 pairs of 6/4 wires that have to come from the Multiplus inverter on the table. It's going to be installed here. We're going to come down through a hole somewhere in the floor. And what we end up having to do is run back to the power box, right? So, or the plug. I think that's actually what we're going to do. But what I ended up doing here was pulling down some of the parts here, and they're just riveted on. I just drilled them out, and we'll replace those with screws or rivets. A lot of times I like to do screws because then I can take them out again easy enough. But we ended up going along the this black section here. I was hoping to go inside using my endoscope cameras, but I just couldn't get where I needed to get to. So we're going to get to about right here on the inside of it. So we're going down there, and then we pop up right here on the back side of the shower. Don't you worry, I'll show you inside. Yeah, and then we're going to end up going to the back of the power plug, and I think that's where we're going to make our connections. All right, so inside here, that's where we were just talking, right? That's where all the equipment's going to go. And I was able to fish my endoscope camera up through here. I ended up having to take the vent ring off so I could actually get my hand down there. There's a hole in the floor. I don't know if you can see it very well. It's down there. That goes into that black part down there. So there's a nice channel you can run wires and stuff through. Works out really well. And so then I got my flexible fish tape. And we'll pull that back. So endoscope here, pull the fish tape back, and then we can pull the wire up through here. And then after we're done with that, then we'll feed it underneath the shower, and that's a clean, straight shot. I already put a fish stick through there. The wires will come out through here, and then right back there is our shore power plug. And so that's what will feed the rest of the stuff. And then it's just in here and the rest of the mechanicals. And I will say, this is one thing I really love about Airstreams is this whole kind of utility access that they provide. Love that. Thank you, Airstream. And so, yeah. And then here, all we'll end up having to do is just turn off the converter breaker, and we'll figure out whichever one that is, and we'll just flip it off. We don't want to do it now because we don't have batteries in the system. The converter is actually what's powering all of our 12-volt lights and stuff right now. All right, we got the coil of wire out. You know what that means. We are running our main lines here, and in this conduit, or as we like to say, the sewer hose, sump pump hose, it works so darn well. We've got an HDMI, we got a USB. We're pre-running those again for the customer if they want to add a Cerbo later, and our two sets of 6/4 cabling. People often ask, what do you do for, what do you do for a living? And so, like, where do I start, right? But what I really should say is I pull wire. Solar is such a small part of our job. It's running wires for batteries, for inverters, for all this other stuff. Mostly what I do is pull wire. Still hard at work on the Airstream here. Got a little carpeted board put together for a hold down on these batteries and something to connect a nice dihole disconnect switch to, which we really recommend. And we also got our AC wiring here in the Multiplus, and that's coming up through the floor there. And we got the HDMI and USB all coiled up in there. It's all tucked away nice and neat. We'll show you that before we're done underneath. And where that comes out, I want to show you this because a lot of people have questions about how this works. So your Multiplus has an AC in and an AC out. It actually has an AC out too, but we're not going to worry about that right now. So what we do is we connect both lines to the AC in and the AC out. And then we're going to go outside and I'm going to show you how that works. Because ultimately, what we need to do is the output of the Multiplus needs to make it to this panel here. And then the input of the Multiplus needs to come out of this plug. But from the factory, what happens is this plug goes directly to that panel over there. But we don't need that to happen. So what we did was we turned on the inverter with these two connected, and then we just put a meter and we found energy coming out of this set of wires here. And so that is our AC out. So what we need to do with this is run this. I think we'll actually run it back inside and connect it directly to the panel. If you wanted to, you could connect it directly to this, or not to this, but to these wires. You could do a splice in there. We'll do that a lot of times when the difference or the distance between this and the breaker box is just too extensive. But anyway, that's what we're going to do here. So we can turn the inverter back off, and then we'll take this wire, which is dead, and that we will connect to this plug. We'll take the plug off of here and connect it into here. And then this wire will basically just be dead as a remnant of what once was. And again, Levi is back for more.
I did the multimeter.
He did. Quit touching that. You're going to shock yourself.
Oh, not.
Yeah. He is training, so hopefully we'll see more of him here.
Yeah.
All right, we got it all put back together. Let's go see if it works. All right, and if it works right, I just turned it on. We should see the inverter go to bulk charge. There it goes. All right. Great success. All right, Levi says there's a lot of wires in here, and he's right. There are a lot of wires, and we got this pulled now. And the other thing I want to mention is the converter. Easy way to take care of that is there's a plug in for it right there. So what we're going to do, Levi, you want to unplug that plug? Show the ladies and gentlemen.
This one?
Yep, right there. Just unplug it.
Unplug it. Oh, man. Oh, man.
Oh, come on. This entire project depends on this. All right.
Boom.
Okay. So with that unplugged, now the system won't backfeed itself. Because what would normally happen is with the inverter system up there, if that's on and this is energized, it's going to try and charge itself from there. And we don't want that happening. So I find this the easiest way to take care of that. And that way, if you ever need to undo this, you just plug it right back in. So next thing, what we're going to do is disconnect these wires here. I find a square drive bit works the best, like a number 2 square drive, and then feed it through there into that cable clamp, and then feed the new ones in and hook it right back up, and then you're done. Here's we got our other one capped off, and the new wires run. And I really recommend that you hook them up, and as you're hooking them up, go back and torque them again after you wiggle the wires a little bit, because the fibers and the or the strands of the copper will kind of reorganize themselves a little bit, and that'll just keep them nice and snug and tight. Levi is getting the solar wire connection made, and we just pulled out this solar charger. This is all that's there. It's not that terribly, that's cute. It says shunt. I guess it technically is a shunt too, but what happens is solar comes in there on the PV positive, and then the battery is there, and then there's just a single common ground, and it doesn't, to me, what doesn't make sense is the ground is always way smaller than the positive, so it doesn't really make sense to me. But what we're doing here is splicing that yellow wire. That's what comes from solar. And the red wire here, we're just going to cap. We don't even use that anymore because the solar system here has its own positive. You may have to twist it a little bit.
I've been twisting it. The viewers know. They've been watching me. I've been twisting it like 3 billion times.
Well, here we are. We've been hard at work. I know maybe we got a little gap in the updates here, but let's show you where everything ended up. We're just wrapping it up. We're going to pull it out here shortly. Got battery charged, ran everything. You can see the system's in float there. And we got a spot open for a Cerbo later. We got a little LED light strip up here, and that's motion controlled. It uses this little motion sensor here, and there's this little remote here. Customer requested that, so we obliged. Obviously, you got this little light here, but sometimes it's nice just when when you open that up, the compartment's lit up, and there's plenty of room to keep storing stuff in there. So we'll go inside here in a minute, but I want to show you how I ran some of the connections underneath. So coming underneath here, we got our tube coming out, and that goes underneath there. And you can see it pops up in that other channel over there, and it goes up into there, and eventually it pops out underneath the shower. So that's the way that worked, but that's all protected in that black tubing. And I sealed that up on that end with some black silicone as well. Almost forgot to mention this. We put an outlet here where the old Sun Explorer controller used to be. We just tapped into the outlet that was back there. Just ran a 15 amp line from there to there. And now you got 120 and USB charging right here. Perfect for phones or whatever you got. All right, and this is the way this turned out. So on the previous version of one of these that we did, we put the solar breaker up there. And that is more convenient if you were doing it yourself. We ended up having to run wires, solar wires, from back there into here and then out. Or back, yeah. We had to kind of do a little backtracking with the wires. But I feel like this is more user-friendly because you just lift open the bed and you got your main switches right here. Hey, the lights turned on. They sensed motion. So that's what we got going on there, and this is pretty well compressed in here. We got some screws with some angle bracket or aluminum angle bracket in there, and that just kind of compresses that whole battery system down. 600 amp hours in that tiny space. You'd be getting 2 Battleborns in there for the same. I don't mean to keep kicking Battleborn right now, but it's just hard to beat these 300 amp hour Epoch batteries. Yeah, here's what this compartment here ended up looking like. The inverter used to be there. We pulled that out, and you could tell we definitely needed some of that room. And if you're looking, this is the wire we spliced here. This is the solar positive, and the solar negative just goes to the negative bus bar inside there, or pretty much any frame negative. In theory, we probably could have used the negative from here. We might not even have to connect the positive at all, the negative solar. However, I like to do it just as good practice because in these MPPTs, the battery negative and the solar negative are bonded together. But I like to run multiple connections because we like to do things as good as possible. So that's what we got going on there. And again, here's the top side of that cooling system that we got there. So all of the hot air from that is going to go right out the bottom. Keep this area nice and cool. The worst is when you're trying to, well, you don't want your power system creating more heat in your living area. That's just the worst. So anyway, that's how that turned out. Well, I think that'll about do it for all of us here at Soda Solar. We got myself, Sean. We got Bear here. He's just being a goofball. And Levi's out doing, I don't know, something else, but he'll be back in more videos for sure. Hey, you gotta calm down, bud. Anyway, if you or somebody you know needs help on an Airstream, an RV, anything that needs off-grid solar, we'll get there, bud. Hold on. Hit us up at sodasolar.com. It's spelled like it is on my sweatshirt there. Maybe we'll start selling these if people are interested. I don't know. I always think it's kind of weird to wear stuff with other people's brands on it, but then again, there's Nike shirts and that sort of stuff. So let me know down in the comments down below if that'd be of any interest to you or anything like that. All right, I've been rambling enough. I hope you enjoyed this. Give us a subscribe, a thumbs up, or any kind of good vibes you got. Thanks. Bye.